Good evening. Welcome to the studio tonight. And my apologies if anybody that's watching for not being on stream last night. I ended up working until midnight UK time. So it was rather a long time. Can I get rid of that shadow a little bit by just doing that? There we go. Got the camera to behave a little bit tonight as well, since it was flickering like mad, and eventually, usual thing, turn it off and on again, rebooted the camera, and it is somewhat better now. So we continue with this. And it really is just a case of continue. I still haven't done that, but given that I was, as I just mentioned, working till midnight last night, I didn't have chance to do it. I need to put a darkish line around here. Helps if, oh, I have turned it on. I was about to, yeah, well, yeah, it helps if I turn on the right tool as well. Okay, turn that down a little bit, so just do around here. And an even paler line around here. And just down there like so. Right, that's going to be number 5, I understand, so let's start to put a number 5 in here. Kind of like that, and we'll make it darker now, so turn this up a bit. Okay, so you'll have to excuse me this evening. A little bit, I hope you will, because I am somewhat tired, because it has been a busy day at work. As I mentioned, I was working late last night, and it's been a really sort of, shall we say, full-on day. And I suspect that I am a lot tireder than I actually feel at the moment. Okie dokie. Sorry, I'm just studying the picture and making a sort of a decision as to what I want to do at this particular point. Helps if I turn. Oh, I tell you, I may end up not completing this stream if I'm going to keep doing what I've just been doing there, which is that's twice having it switched to the wrong tool. and that's twice within as many minutes. That's a bit too cool to do this with. Do I want it that light? No, I actually want it darker than that. Yeah, that sort of darker will do. So, I need to sort of create a panel for this card. There's kind of like a gold edging in this panel. So what I'm going to do is go through, go around, create the panel edge so that we can then fill in the panel. Now I'm working relatively slowly because otherwise I'll get a big colour change, which I'm not really after here, and also I'm after a nice straight line, so if I do it in small segments like this, I stand a lot better chance about having a straight line, even if that straight line isn't vertical like this one isn't. So I shall tweak it a little bit as I go along. So I'll say welcome to anybody that's watching. Thank you for joining me this evening. If you're a regular viewer, I apologise for not being on stream last night. I did actually tweet out that I would not be able to stream last night. I was working for considerable hours. I was actually working until midnight UK time last night. And my job is looking after a financial database, and at the end of each month that's when financial databases get big updates, including mine. Only, let's put it this way, something wasn't right and I had to spend quite some considerable time fixing the issue. So I finally got to go to bed quite late on. Luckily I work from home, which meant that having finished work at gone midnight, it didn't take me very long to get home, which I'm glad about. But that did mean unfortunately I wasn't able to stream last night. So hopefully things will go okay tonight. But dealing with the aftermath of yesterday evening, this morning and throughout today, making sure other things were progressing correctly, etc., has meant it's been an extremely busy day for me today. Essentially doing 4 or 5 things at once, which means that when I come to streaming and I'm doing 3 things at once, it's not too bad, it's quite relaxing. Just in case you're wondering what the 3 things at once is, it's doing the pyrography, it's talking, it's reading chart. Actually there's 4 things, the other one is controlling the stream. So 4 things at once. I'm actually doing more than I thought. So I'm just outlining the edge of the panel, which I'll then fill in. Taking my time doing this bit, I want a nice straight edge, I want a consistent colour, and it's a lot easier to do that at lower heat levels than it is at higher heat levels, because I don't have to be as quick in movements, and because the heat is applied more slowly, the colour doesn't change as fast, it's easier to get a consistent colour. I just move the tool more slowly. But it does mean that whilst I'm talking, for example, I don't need to necessarily concentrate quite so much. Although that's getting a little bit darker than I intended, but not too bad. So I'll move a little bit faster. How does that go? Oh yeah, that completely hides behind there. So. And as usual, you'll find me talking to myself whilst I am applying pyrography. And I don't mean just the this spiel that I'm talking about now, which is essentially talking to myself, but it is also the fact that whilst I'm doing things, I will look at the reference picture, for example, and I'll sort of almost in shorthand sort of go, yeah, and that goes behind it, and I will not generally finish what I'm speaking because my brain's already understood what I was trying to tell myself and has just moved on. So I spin the wood round whilst I'm doing this because it's, generally speaking, a lot easier to spin the wood around than it is to try and work at a sort of an odd angle with it. That's probably about right, yeah. So let's go from that. So when you're doing this, it often feels like there's paint coming out of this tool. In terms of I'm moving this and it's light in front of it, dark behind it, just what happens with a paintbrush. And it does sometimes feel like I'm painting this brown colour, which is partly why I often describe this as painting with heat. So I'm using heat and I'm painting. About there? Yeah, about there. Now I've got to follow that curve around. Doing all of, well, most of this by eye. There are, as you can see, some pencil marks on the wood to help me position things. But this I'm doing completely freehand, making a little bit of a mess of it because I've gone a bit higher than I wanted, but that'll do. It's okay. Yeah, somewhere around there that just goes across completely. So we'll just do that just to help me remember that, and then I'll work backwards from here and do this side. Now this tool isn't exactly symmetrical. It has different hot spots on it. So the right hand side is actually hotter than the left. And so now that I'm going the other way, I'm using the other edge, it's not heating up as quickly. Okay, so that's the inner edge. I think that's okay. Let's fill in the inner and then we'll come back and do the outer edge again. So now the inner edge is just lots more of the same again. Now what I will be able to do with this is just go straight over the lettering when I get there. One of the nice things about this is a semi-transparent medium in a way, in that I can go over things without actually covering them up. It makes getting into the small spaces between the letters and things a lot easier. It does apply a little bit more heat to the letters, so it does cook them a little bit, so they do go slightly darker. But given that they are slightly below the surface of the wood anyway, they probably won't change colour too much. Now large flat areas like this are actually quite time consuming to do. Potentially I could have got a different tool out which has a wider foot, so this flat bit at the front is wider. It's quite a bit wider on the other tool, but then I'd have had to learn basically how to use it. It's not one I've not used a great deal, so I would have probably needed to practice on something that I wasn't that bothered about. A piece of wood first. Now this particular tool I'm quite practiced with using. Still do have to learn little bits about how it's reacting with the wood that I'm working on, but essentially because I know this tool, I don't need to practice using it. At least at that level. The newer tool, whenever I use a new tool, kind of have to practice using it first, see how it reacts to heat, which are the hot bits, which are the cooler bits, in order to make sure that I can use it in a consistent way. Well, having said which, that's not been very consistent, but we will probably have to come back and adjust that. But what's happening here really is the wood is cooling off the tip, possibly a little bit too much. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Okay, we'll carry on for a bit. I was thinking about turning the heat up, but I don't want to turn it up if I don't have to. And as you can see, I can go straight over the letters, which is what I'm doing here. And of course, I don't know, well, I'm guessing elsewhere, of course, there are fireworks going off, so you may or may not hear that on the microphone. I think the microphone is probably sensitive enough to pick them up, certainly while I'm not speaking. So if you hear sort of bangs and fizzles in the background, it's not the pyrography unit blowing up, it's actually fireworks going on outside, because we're getting close to November the 5th, which in the UK of course is firework night, the celebration of somebody trying to blow up the Houses of Parliament. I'm not quite sure how the logic of that works, but that of course is the history of Guy Fawkes. So having 4 cats here, we don't usually have fireworks. I don't think we're actually this year going out to a display either, but so I may well be streaming on Sunday night. That's the 5th of November. Although I suspect not many people from the UK will be watching. I may need a little bit more heat, but just from the point of view of this is the wood cools the tip off really quickly. So sometimes when you're using it in contact with the wood for a long period of time, like I'm doing here, it can actually, at low heat levels, it can struggle to maintain enough heat in order to cook the wood. So me lifting it off allows it to heat up quite quickly, and helps to continue the process, but sometimes a little bit more heat also helps. And if I'm doing this in short, tiny bursts, the amount of heat I've got is enough for this tool to be down for about a second or so, and cook the wood quite nicely. Here I'm having to hold it in position for longer than that because of the fact that the wood is actually conducting away a lot of the heat. As it cooks, it conducts the heat away, cooling the tip down. Interesting, I think the base of this tool probably wants... Oh, there we go. I have got some paper tissue here which I can clean the bottom of the tool on. I was about to say I should remember to get some out, but it would appear that I already did. So the idea here is to have a really smooth, consistent colour. Now the original card looks like it's mimicking light sources, so I'm guessing, and this possibly is a stone-like background. So if I don't get it perfectly coloured, that doesn't look like it's going to be a detriment to the image. But if I've got lots of tram lines on it, which is what I would call these sorts of lines that you, if you can see a little bit, yeah, it's not as consistently coloured. I need to blend that in a little bit. But yeah, having lots of tram lines from each run down doesn't sort of add to anything to the image, so I'm trying my best here to sort of hide each row so you don't see a row, you see a sort of a reasonably consistently coloured image, which may have some bits which are lighter or darker than others, but you won't be seeing it as rows like you might have scribbled it with a pencil, where you'd see sort of the rows that you've scribbled. Because what I need to do is learn to slow down. I have a habit of trying to do this fast, and it doesn't go fast, it doesn't work fast. You do it slowly. Slow down like this, and I can do something in one pass that I would be doing in 4 or 5 otherwise. And I just noticed a hair there, which we will get rid of before I put the pyrographic tool to it, because if I don't, it will smell something chronic. What does something chronic smell like? Very terrible, not very nice. Burnt hair. Burnt hair is not a nice smell, it's not a pleasant smell at all. Unfortunately though, it is a smell I am quite familiar with, because with pussycats around, it can be quite hard to avoid little tiny pussycat hairs landing on things like this piece of wood, and if I don't notice it, then when the tool touches it, it shrivels and cooks, and that cooking smell, yeah, it's not a nice cooking smell. So for anybody watching, if you were wanting to have caught me last night, my apologies again. I needed to work late last night, and it was late last night. I finished work at midnight UK time, and so that's the reason why I wasn't able to stream last night. It's going on quite well. We will have to go over it again to get rid of some of the tram lines that are developing here, but that's not too bad. Now the trick here is to keep moving with a consistent speed, so that you cook all parts of the wood evenly and thus get an even colour. But we are, as humans, consistently quite hard. Find doing that sort of thing quite hard. We slow down and speed up, and generally you're about as inconsistent as you can consistently get. In fact, we are consistently inconsistent to stretch a pun from somewhere. Then back over the edges just to make sure I don't leave any sort of small white lines. Yeah, there's quite a lot of fireworks going on outside tonight. I suspect some people may have taken the opportunity this evening to let off fireworks rather than waiting while the weekend, because it's a reasonably sort of nice night out. It's not really cold and it's not really hot and it's not raining. suspect a lot of people, rather than taking the chance of waiting, are letting off fireworks now. All I can say though, from what I can hear and the direction it's coming from, somebody's got an awful lot of money. They're not cheap, aren't fireworks? Whilst I don't mind fireworks, and I have bought them many times in the past, it kind of £5 for a small firework, and you know it's gone in about 20 seconds, does seem rather does seem rather less value for money than it might otherwise be. Especially when you're all like me and can remember when fireworks were great big things that seemed to last 10 minutes. They never did, of course, but you always seem to remember them lasting longer than they actually did. And any other jokes along those lines you can make up for yourself. Okay, so we're about halfway done with this panel. At least on the first pass. We'll then probably go back over it again, just to fade out some of the edges. Yeah, it seems like this year in the fireworks shops, as I've seen, there's a tendency for big fireworks this year, which are expensive. You get things like a big rocket, which is £20. I don't know if mine. Well, my family name has Scottish origins, so I guess that probably means I've got a somewhat slightly Scottish mentality in terms of saving money. To harp on about a stereotype, shall we say, but yeah, I'm not sure I want to spend that much on fireworks, even if I was going to do it. But there does seem to be a tendency these days for people to be selling and using display fireworks. And I can't quite understand that. I mean, some of these, when you read the instructions, for example, you know, there might be a rocket or a box of multiple fireworks. It'll say something like, must be 150 to 200 feet away. Now, that's an awfully long way, relatively speaking, for UK gardens, and yet people are letting these things off in their gardens, which may only be 50 feet long, if that. And they're firing off display fireworks. And spending £100 on one firework, a box with lots of fireworks in, I guess, but you know, it's yeah. Still, what I usually do, and I possibly can't do it this year if I'm streaming, is go look out the bedroom window and watch everybody else's fireworks. Because I usually find if you have fireworks, you tend to be a bit too close to see them properly. You need to be quite a bit away. So watching somebody else's in the sky is often quite interesting to see them. And I have just run over another hare. Now I'm not pressing down on the wood. Now I'm just maintaining the tip of this pen to be in contact with the wood. So I'm not sort of applying any real pressure to it, I'm just holding enough pressure, if you like, just to hold it down on the wood. Make sure it makes good contact, because that way it transfers the heat better. But I'm kind of just wanting it to float a little bit because it makes it easier to move as well. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, I've got some tram lining that I'll have to get rid of, but otherwise that's not bad going. It's coming up with quite a nice sort of reasonably consistent colour. I'll then do around the edge as well. Trying to keep reasonably close to what the card looks like, although I could make some modifications to make it easier to apply pyrography. I don't know what the actual verb to do pyrography would be. It's into pyrography something. That's not a verb, is it? But whatever it is. Has somebody closed Twitch and hasn't bothered telling me or something? It's been rather quiet here tonight. As it was actually last time I streamed, which was on Wednesday. Has everybody disappeared and gone on holiday or something? So what I might as well do, in case anybody's dropping in, welcome if you are. What I'm doing, I'm creating art. I'm creating art of a Hearthstone card, of course. I understand that those of you that play this game will possibly recognise it. I'm doing it using a technique called pyrography. which is an art form created by cooking wood. It's also known as wood burning, but as you might notice, there's no flame. There's no burning either. In fact, that's probably the last thing I want to occur. And so this process, the nearest I can describe this process, if you're familiar with making toast, I'm kind of doing the same thing. Only I'm using a little tiny tool instead of a great big heating element. And instead of bread, I'm using wood. Same thing though. It's going brown for exactly the same reason as well. Now I tend to describe this, instead of wood burning, I tend to describe it as painting with heat. I'm using heat and I'm painting a picture. And sometimes it actually even feels like this brown colour is coming out of this particular tool. It's not, it's been created by cooking the wood, but just the way it goes on sometimes is very much like this is kind of a paintbrush and I'm painting it on. Another reason why I describe it as painting with heat. Right, so again I'll go a bit further and then I'll probably have to switch this board around so that I can finish this section and follow the top curve with the point of the tool rather than the base of the tool, because it's easier to see where the toe is rather than the heel. And incidentally, we do tend to describe that in pyrography with tools like this. We describe it like a foot or a shoe, with the toe pointing forward and the heel pointing back. I will give this a touch more heat. Wolfie, good evening, welcome back to the stream. It won't let you change your name back, why is that? Wow, that was a big firework. Why won't they let you change it? I thought you were allowed to change your name about once a month. Or are you just not allowed to change it back to something you've used before? Test? Yeah, there's a test. You need it to wait. Okay. You wanted to change it back, but you couldn't. You had to wait 4 months for it, so now it's 2 months, but you're using... Is this... But you appear to be using it. Oh, now it's with 2 underscores. Oh, I see. So in another 4 months, you'll be able to remove the extra underscore. I didn't notice it had 2. I mean, now that I noticed it, it's obvious, but I didn't see that. So how's world domination going today? Sorry I wasn't around yesterday. Don't know if you caught the tweet, but I needed to work late, so I was working really late last night. I actually finished work at midnight. And I wasn't about to start streaming at midnight. Oh, you don't follow me on Twitter? I didn't. I didn't have. I didn't have my Twitch log on to hand in order to actually put an update on Twitch. So, super speedy. Now, I've only just got used to calling you I've only just got used to calling you Incredible Wolfie. Now I need to change what I I'll now have to sort of remember to call you something different. I could be paranoid and think you've done it just on purpose to make it difficult for me to remember names, but you can still call you Wolfie. Okay, thank you very much. Does that mean you want me to call you Wolfie, or you want me to call you Super Speedy? I of course don't mind either way. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, it kind of makes sense. I mean, it's one way in which people sort of you can sort of maintain a privacy, I guess, as well. I'm thinking probably my not that I have in-game names as such, because I don't play many games where you have a name, but it does tend to be either Zaragon or Zaragonart about the place. But they're not all. I think Zaragonart may be unique to me, but I'm not sure about. Well, Zaragon isn't, so because that's why I've got I use Zaragonart these days. Oh, it won't annoy me. Troll me, maybe, but it won't annoy me. You see, that kind of relies on the fact that I'd remember. And I think you've already had a demonstration of just how good my memory actually is sometimes. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Although, for me, it wouldn't serve much purpose, given that I'm broadcasting it, and it's on the website and things. But yeah, no, I can understand that. So well, as you, I'm not sure how far back you go, but when I started streaming, I didn't have a face cam, and I wasn't sure whether I was ever going to have one at the time. Part of that was the fact that I couldn't afford 2 cameras when I started. But the second one was I wasn't actually that sure. I wanted to put a face on here, but everybody kept saying, "What do you look like?" type of thing. But okay, you in theory you don't see your face. Google never forgets. Google never forgets, and there's probably something out there that's archived it as well. So it might still be possible to find your face somewhere. See, what I need to aim for now is that when anybody Googles for Zaragan or Zaraganat, all they get is me and nobody else. And hopefully... Oh yeah, you can find the stuff. Well, when I Google my real life name, unfortunately there are other people that have the same name, and mine is quite an unusual name. And when you Google people with my name, there's some not very nice people around. They're in different countries, but which is a good thing, so that people don't think it's me. Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, somebody who's trying really hard to find things usually can, but if you're sort of safe on all the places that people will often look, then you know, they give up before they actually find it for real. Right, okay. Trying really hard to keep this reasonably consistent. Yeah, well, that's kind of the reaction I had, wasn't it, when you actually told me who you were, from the olden days, ye olden days. It kind of dates you when you can remember when on Twitch you couldn't change your username. Yeah, you're gonna have fun. Oops. My computer screen that I've just been looking at is a bit bright. I've got can't actually see what I'm doing. I've got the brightness of that when I look back at this. I'm struggling to see to see where I've applied colour. And it's just that sort of right colour that when the angle I'm doing it at, that's kind of like the same thing you get when you get sort of spots before your eyes when you've seen a bright light. I'm getting that sort of effect looking at this, and it's sort of, is that really something I've done, or am I just seeing the reflection or the image of something? I usually end up getting impatient doing something like this and turning the heat up and then making a mess of it, but I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm relatively tired or what, but I'm being really patient tonight and it's paying off. You didn't see me when I was live, so did tonight? No, I've just been this area here that you can see, which is this area here. So I sort of started by outlining this, and then I'm just filling it in. So we've got a sort of a coloured background. Actually, it's surprisingly close to the colour that I'm looking at, but that's pure coincidence. So I've just been filling this in, and it takes quite a long time to do. So it's been probably about an hour so far just to do this bit, and I've got to go around the outside of that then as well to fill it in. Put a gold band around it, or what would be a gold band, and then some more of this on the outside. And I've got to work through. As you can see, it's a bit patchy, and so I need to just work through it again just to try and merge some of those patches together. But effectively, that's all I've done. Doesn't seem much, but it's a lot of relatively speaking, it's a lot of work to get this far. Kind of the thing with pyrography, unless you're working in pure black at high heat, then it takes quite a long time to do just about anything. From working in pure black like this, I can sort of work fairly quickly, because that's relatively easy to do. It's when you're trying to do shady colour like this and be consistent about it that it takes an awfully long time, or to fill in any large sort of space like this. That's alright. You go watch your Blizzard. That's probably why it's quiet, is it? Because everybody's watching the Blizzard tournament. I kind of I mean, it was quiet on Wednesday. I didn't stream yesterday, and it's quiet again today. But if there's a tournament going on, and to be honest, I haven't looked, then that kind of explains it. I'm quite happy if you want to go watch a tournament. It's not a problem. I think I'm more than likely to be finishing at 9 o'clock tonight, so that's not very long because. With it was, as I say, a really late night last night, working until midnight, and it's been a really busy day dealing. I was working till midnight because of some issues that arose with the financial database that I look after, and being a financial database and being the end of the month. When a lot of financial databases get updated, it was an issue that needed to be resolved as quickly as possible, and that meant working late, which means I've been and then dealing with the ongoing actions today. So I've had a really busy day. Yeah, you have to screen. I have 3. Well, actually, I've got 5. But 3 of them are connected to one computer, and one of them is another computer, and that one over there isn't connected to anything. But yeah, I know. There are times when I've had 3 streams running full screen, one on each. Trouble is, you can only listen to one at a time, otherwise it gets too confusing. Trying to hear 2 sorts of conversations going on. But yeah, I've done that. Or occasionally, because my big monitor's a 27-inch. 27, I think it's 27. I can put 2. Well, I can put more on, but you know what I mean. As long as it's not full screen, I can put 2 sort of fairly high resolution on that. So I have watched sort of 4 streams before now. When I can't quite decide which one it is I want to watch. Well. I tell you, it has taken it's taken a long time to get to that stage. While it was I mean it's been a few years since I got the i7, which I've got processor, and at that time one of the things I did is I'd saved up to, because I like working with multiple monitors. It makes a lot of things a lot easier, as I'm sure you know. And at that time I saved up quite a bit of money, because back then monitors weren't necessarily as cheap as they are today, and actually got a matching set of 3, so that they actually look good on the desk, you know, 3 identical monitors, and they've got a nice dark red frame around them, so they looked really nice. And then I had to go and spoil it, because I then got a Wacom touchscreen. No, it's not a touchscreen. It's a Wacom drawing screen, the Cintiq, to do electronic art on, and that doesn't look as good as the other. So one of them's spare at the moment, but I kind of had them since then, and that's a few years ago. So they're really old monitors now. They must be 5 or 6 years old. But I wouldn't want to go back to working with just a single monitor. There are times when I've got to use just a laptop at work, and even at work I use 3 monitors. And when I have to go back to using a single laptop, which isn't very often, like if I'm on the train, or I go visit an office somewhere, and it does now feel really restrictive trying to work on one screen. So what I'm trying to do here now is just smooth out some of the patchiness that I've not been as good at as I thought I was. So I've made this a bit lighter than the rest. So indeed, it's I have that. Yeah, it's how can you manage to work on one monitor? I mean, even the people with two, it's kind of like, how do you manage with two screens? I must admit, one of the two, when I'm working, one of the three screens is the laptop screen itself. So I kind of only use it for stuff that I don't look at very often, and invariably during the day it's got a Twitch stream on it, just streaming to provide some sort of background music, but background sound, let's say background music. But yeah, I can't understand people who work on one monitor, and sometimes it's just, how do you manage with two? Certainly at home, it's fantastic. I mean, it's like if I'm broadcasting, for example, if I was broadcasting a game, I'd be able to have Twitch on one, a stream monitor on one, OBS on the other, and the game on the third monitor. It kind of is invaluable for things like that. But even if I'm doing things like just uploading the videos, which I'm doing at the moment, I get the upload on one screen, and I've got I'm looking at the information that's associated with an earlier, like if I'm uploading part 36 of Ruth. I can look at part 35, so I get all the same tags and things, and I can copy type between the two a lot easier. So just even something like that does now save a lot of time and trouble. And of course, one other advantage of having three monitors, or more than one monitor, for some games, is that you can sometimes stretch the game across more than one monitor, which is gives you a wider area. I mean, one of the games I play is Euro Truck Simulator. And I used to, what I used to do is have a, what was it? Track IR. And I always found it a little difficult to drive with Track IR, moving your head, because it didn't feel quite right. But spreading the picture for that across three monitors, I actually get sort of a truck view, and I can move my head between the monitors like natural, and it's amazingly easier to drive. By the way, you did a best of 5 and won again. Has he conceded to the fact yet that it's potentially not as bad as he thought it was? Just say, on that first video you posted, he was sort of doing, maybe we should make this a best of 5, because he was losing so much. I know when I was watching that video, it sort of felt like he was suggesting that he knew, I won't say everything, that's not right, but he knew a lot about all the cards and the way to play them and things like that, and you kept beating him. It was certainly quite funny. This top area here is slightly is lighter than the bottom area, so I'm just trying to darken it a little bit just to match in. I'm holding the board up so I can see it without glare, which actually makes it a bit easier for you guys to see it as well. Yeah, I'm starting to get the right sort of colour. It's a bit lighter still than I have, but we will get there. I'm not trying to speed run something like this. There's just too much in the image to be able to do this in less than a few hours. So he's insisting it's a bad deck, and this time he made a deck specifically to counter yours to the best of his ability, and he still lost. Okay, I like that. That's almost a David and Goliath story, is that, you know, the big man losing to the little opponent. You know, that kind of even makes it worse, because he's a high tier player with a in quotes a superior deck, and yet he keeps losing to a lower tier player with what he considers to be a bad deck. I mean, I don't know the guy at all. And I don't sort of mean anything sort of bad to him about it, but it kind of says he's not as good a player as he thinks he is, and it kind of suggests that his previous wins have been just either luck or based on the fact that he just had a powerful deck against somebody who didn't know how to use theirs. And I guess that's probably happens a lot. You get the players that go for the powerful cards because they don't actually know how to use the cards properly. So they go for the easy, you know, the powerful cards which are easy to win with. Well, at least he keeps trying. I mean, I give him that. I mean, it's hopefully he's learning something with it each time he loses. He's learning something about it and will actually get better. But give him something for continuing to try. You know, I think that's there is sort of some respect to be earned there from the fact that he continues to try, even if. Well, but you have to believe in luck as well, you know, and I'm not sure I believe in luck, I believe in chance, but not quite sure I believe in luck, at least in that sort of context. I mean, the other way of describing this is, of course, you may be a low tier player, but that may be because you don't play very much. You could be an extremely experienced player that plays one or two games and therefore is a low tier because you haven't played enough to rise the ranks. And maybe that's what's happening here. And I mean, well, I can imagine if he actually does win a round against. I don't know if he has won a round against you, but I can quite easily see the reaction if he wins a round against you or a game against you. It'll be there. I've proved it, and it's kind of like you've just won one game out of 10, and that proves it. Now the one thing I don't want to do here is go that way, because then it'll create a really awful pattern that won't look natural. Even if sort of stripes like this do look natural. But if I go the other way, it definitely will not. So one thing about pyrography and filling in large areas like this, it's usually better to keep going in the same direction. Of course, I'm saying usually. I'm sure there are people that have the necessary technique that will allow them to go crosswise and make it look good. I just don't have that skill. At least not yet. So I'm going to spend some time here just evening out the colours, trying to make sure I get rid of the, I describe them as tram lines, but the slightly different coloured lines, which is really because of being inconsistent with the placing and also the amount of heat that I've applied. Well, I guess, I mean, there's been in science fiction stories there's often this sort of I would say recurring theme, but there is this theme of people who have sort of mental abilities like telekinesis or things like that potentially have a mental ability to influence random number generators and tip them in their favour. You know, not necessarily be able to sort of predict the outcome of an RNG, but to be able to sort of make it more likely to be favourable to themselves. And that's often a theme of things, and I think off the top of my head I seem to remember reading that there has been sort of some research done into people who consistently have what others would consider to be good luck. I think certainly some of them where they looked at somebody in life doing things sort of came to the conclusion that either they are better or at what they do, or are more prepared or whatever, and therefore achieve a better result, which other people put down to luck. or it's down to an effect where people only remember the good outcomes and therefore put things down to luck. But you never know. That's your power, definitely. The ability to mentally, the ability to influence random number generator as well. I mean, on a computer, random number generators are often tied to things like the mouse movements, and so it is entirely possible to influence an RNG. Because quite often they'll do things like measure the number of mouse ticks from moving the mouse within a certain period of time that they don't tell you when they're measuring it, and use that as a seed for the random number generator. So, you know, from that perspective, it is possible to influence it. In this particular case, I think it's just that you're good, and therefore everybody thinks that you've got it. Yeah, but you know, that's skill. Somebody who's less skilled with exactly the same deck may not think, may not produce that perfect counter, because they don't know that it's the perfect counter. Or if you're pulling cards randomly, it's yeah. I don't know. I mean, there are stranger things in this world than the fact that somebody can influence a random number generator. But of course, if you truly could, I'd be suggesting that you paid a visit to the Euro lottery site. Yeah, game knowledge. Because I think what you're doing now, Super Speedy Wolfie, is in case anybody else is watching, you're kind of trying to make them think that you're no good at this game, so you can beat them. You know, like these professional poker players and things like that. You know, make the opponents think you're no good at something, and then right at the end you swoop in and take the whole pot. You're trying just to preserve your reputation at the moment so that you can continue to do that. Okay, so gradually what I'm doing here is just removing sort of the Pyrography lines, getting a little bit more of a consistent colour. I'm not going to go really silly on doing that. I mean, it kind of strikes me that the image of this card is sort of, it's almost though it's meant to be carved out of stone. And the stone doesn't have a perfectly coloured surface. No, it's alright. Thank you for the offer, Wolfie, but no, it's alright. You don't need to bother. I probably won't get a chance to look at it. But thank you for the offer. I've kind of just It is Friday today, isn't it? I think it's Friday. Yeah, it is. I kind of just realised it was Friday. Which means means I've got another busy day tomorrow. I was just thinking then I was going to have a relaxing day at work, and I'd be able to catch up on a few things and play a few streams in the background whilst recorded streams in the background whilst I'm doing some things, and I've just realised I'm not at work, which means I won't be able to do either of those things. Yeah. It is. It is. Yeah, I know. The clocks are all wrong. Unfortunately, there's too many timepieces around here for you to fool me like that for very long. Although, having said which, most of the timepieces around here have the time on them and not the date. As in, what you did was good, or as in you like where you work? Okay. I was going to say, that sounds like it gives you a lot of time to watch videos. And it sounds like you've got free internet access as well, which can't be bad. Saves paying for it. Or were you using your phone on your own plan? You like your job? Yes. Yeah. I think for me that sort of job would get boring. Because I'm kind of a person that doesn't like to sit about and do nothing. I'd probably read actually for quite a bit, but after a period of time I kind of get bored reading. Not bored of reading, but just I want to do something. Yeah. In a way, it's kind of why I started streaming again, because I was apparently I was starting to get itchy to do art again, and also streaming is a way which kind of forces me to do it. But also, you know, I was spending a lot of time watching videos and I was kind of getting bored with watching them. And streaming is never the same twice. Well, having said which, I suppose spending half an hour staring at a chainmail item trying to work out where to continue it is probably something I've done more than once, but yeah, that top still looks a bit light to me. I'm getting too much reflection with the camera to see what it's looking like in the camera. Got a slightly different. I'm looking at this. It's got a slightly different texture up here for some reason. The wood obviously is changed slightly. Which kind of happens as you get, you know, it's a different part of the tree, and sometimes you get the characteristics of the wood changes as you move around the piece. And sometimes it takes colour and looks different even at the same colour. Sometimes it can look more matte or look more shiny. That's not bad. So let's do this area and then I'll be quite pleased with what's been done. Still haven't got around to writing that letter in, but I wasn't about to do it last night when I had 2 seconds spare. Well, I'm about to finish anyway, Wolfie, so super speedy. Sorry, you see, I told you I'd have problems remembering. I'm just sort of trying to get a bit more consistent colour just across there. in this area here, and then I was going to, because it's coming up to 9 o'clock, and as I say, late night last night, early an early and sort of full day today, and I am starting to get a bit too tired. But I wanted to do some. I think we'll do that. Wolfie, yeah, thank you. That is very kind of you. Let's see. As you probably remember, I do try to use the names that people like, provided that they are suitable to be broadcast. And yeah, whichever you would like to use. It's 10. Yeah, I see. Indeed, it is where you are. That's true. It is 10 o'clock at night. It's 9 o'clock here, and how long have I been broadcasting for? An hour and 40 minutes. I started a bit late tonight. Again, late finishing work. Then have some food. Then come straight in here with my cup of tea, which I haven't yet finished. It's half full. So what I could say is it's 2100 hours UTC, and that's true. I could also say it's 2100 hours GMT, because they're almost the same. Or to all intents and purposes, they're the same. They're not exactly the same, but for all intents and purposes, they are the same. And I've done the main part of what I wanted to do tonight, which was to fill this in, or fill that bit in. I didn't quite get as far as the border around there, which I want to do as well, but we'll do that tomorrow. But at least I'm really rather pleased with just how consistent I managed to do that, because that takes, I was going to say it takes a lot of skill. It sounds like I'm sort of blowing my own trumpet, but it actually does take quite a bit of skill to get a consistent colour across. So I'm really pleased with how I've been able to do that. And we will carry on with it tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow afternoon I'll even get time to write the name in it so we can then outline it. But it's going quite well. It's going quite well. I want to finish that border, then I think probably there's a black border, a blackish border around the edges here, which we'll put in. And possibly this colour is right around the outside as well. I think ultimately, I don't know whether I'll colour the whole outside of the card. If I do, it'll be this sort of colour, but we'll certainly do the black areas around there. Maybe start on the drag. I kind of don't want to start in the centre, because I kind of feel like I'll probably go wrong. But there again, if I go wrong in the centre, I might as well find out sooner rather than later, because that way I can scrap it and start again a lot quicker. But interesting. It is interesting to do something like this. I've not done a card before, not done anything like this before. Kind of thought about doing things from games, but just never really got around to doing it. So it's proving quite fun, actually. Anyway, I am going to do a usual quick roundup and say, of course, at the bottom there's the URLs for all the various things, the website, which is starting to have some descriptions of things like pyrography, and the art forms, which reminds me, when this one's finished, I'll have to put it up there and credit you, Wolfie, Super Speedy, with having suggested the idea. And of course, the social media on the right hand side. Twitter is a good place if you don't follow me to follow me, so you get to know things like Wolfie Super Speedy there didn't, which was that I wasn't going to stream last night because I was working late. But I will try and remember when I have access to it to put that sort of information under the stream window as well, but can't always promise that. Now, and of course, the YouTube, where old videos, yeah, they are old videos, they're almost a year old, but the old Twitch streams are being gradually uploaded, so if you want to see some of the really old broadcasts, and they're getting younger as I do them, but I'm not seem to be catching up just yet, so I'll have to try and do even more. But they're all being uploaded onto there, so you can see some of the other crafts that have been done over the time of some of the other pieces. And what I'm going to do is just finally remind everybody about the top buttons at the top of the screen. 2 of them. I believe there's 2 of them. I can't get to see them on my stream, so there's 2 buttons up there. One to follow and one to subscribe. It'd be fantastic if you press either of them if you are watching. So the subscriptions of course go towards supporting the stream for buying things like wood, tools and whatever else is needed. Because unfortunately things like wood doesn't grow on trees. It's a bit more pricey to get decent quality wood. Anyway, with that, I'm going to be streaming hopefully again tomorrow night from 1900 hours to 2000 hours UTC. That's GMT as well. And we'll go on for up till about 9 o'clock or so in the evening. And with that, I hope I'll see you on that stream. But for now, see you later.